Greetings, everyone. This is Gail Macinda with History Quick. And as part of our unit study on the history of apples in America, we're going to be talking about some of the ways that we can use those apples. Yeah, they're really good just to eat fresh and we enjoy them that way, but there's other things that we can do with them as well. Welcome to Maestro Heights. Our guest today is Paul Stroop. He is Chef Paul Stroop. He's also Reverend Paul Stroop from the Clinton Presbyterian Church in Clinton, Illinois. And we are delighted to have you with us today. And you're going to show us some different fun things that we can do with apples. Take it away and let's see what we can learn.
Yeah. So part of my growing up was out in Washington State, which just so happens to be the largest producer of apples in our country. And it's growing up getting fresh apples all the time was a wonderful, brings back a lot of childhood memories, as does, I'm sure, for many of you, the smell of apples baking. And we're going to take a look at that on baking some or dehydrating some apple rings, and we'll talk about the uses for those. But I want to talk about a few different apples. Of course, the Golden Delicious apple, that's always a good favorite. And there are over 2,500 different kind of apple varieties. And the Granny Smith, of course, is also popular, and it's good for the dish that were the dehydrated apples, or of course the Red Delicious apple, and then there's a wide variety, such as the Pink Lady, and you've probably heard of like the Jazz apple. And it seems like every day you go to the grocery store, there's a new name for the apples. But just wanted to, since we're close to the holiday season, I just wanted to talk about maybe making some apple rings, so dehydrated apple, and it can be used as a snack or as a decoration for trees. There's all kinds of uses that you can have for that, and it's a great way to preserve the apples. And so to get started with, we'll need some water, and about 4 cups of water is fine, and then just a half a lemon. And we're going to add that to the water, and what we're going to do is, as we cut the apples, we'll put that in the water, the lemon water, to keep it from turning brown. So we have that ready. We'll set that right there. And the different tools that you'll need, of course, is an apple core. And if you don't have an apple core like this, you can oftentimes use a peeler. If it's a straight edge peeler, you'll be able to dig down into the apple and get the core out that way. Or if you have a melon baller, maybe a smaller size, and you can dig out the center of the apple, because we don't want the seeds in there for this. So you'll need a nice sharp knife to be able to slice the apple, and we'll get started with that. We'll choose the this apple was called Juicy apple, and we'll go ahead and core that. And so you'll start with the eye of the apple, which is the bottom. And if you have an apple core, you can just push down on that, work your way through the top, and there you have it. The apple has been cored. And then once we do that, of course, before you get started, which I did already, is you'll want to wash your fruit really, really well. So that's been done already in advance. But then once you've cored your apple, you can begin to slice it. And really, the thickness that you want for dehydrated apple, you're going to probably want about 1/4 of an inch, maybe slightly larger. The thicker the slice, the longer it's going to take to dehydrate. And if you want, as you get started, you can, of course, preheat your oven. Since we're dehydrating in the oven, you don't need a dehydrator necessarily. If you have one, that's great, but you can do it right in the oven. And put your oven on 200 and get that preheated and ready. And here we'll slice our apples. Just like that, and you'll get a nice ring like that. And then we'll, of course, put it in our lemon juice.
Okay.
Just like that. So once you're done slicing however many apples you're doing, we'll go ahead and get that ready. We'll put it out on, you can put it on parchment paper, right onto a baking sheet. And what we'll do is when you're done with your apples, you can just take them. We'll just pat those dry because we don't want any, you can hear my beautiful dog in the background. That's Callie. Surprised Riley's not making noise, but you'll pat the apple dry, sit on the baking sheet, and put it directly into the oven. And then after an hour or so, you'll come back with a pair of tongs, and you'll want to flip these apple rings over so they can continue to dry on the other side. And it'll take a good 2 hours to be able to do that. And
now I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to guess that when you're putting them on that baking sheet, you need to be careful that there's only one layer of them, so that they.
Correct. Yeah, you don't want to stack them up. You just want to lay them next to each other. They can be touching, but if you can get a little bit of space in between them, that's great. And then just a few hours later, you can have a nice dried apple. Bring them out. They may be a little flexible when you first bring them out, but then as they air dry, you'll be able to take them, and you can store them inside of a Ziploc bag, or leave them out as a snack, or turn them into a little decoration for a Christmas tree. Whatever you'd like to do.
You know, one of the things I like to do is to decorate my outside pine trees and some of my evergreens for Christmas. So I would think that would be a really nice way to put something out. I know the squirrels would like it, but I bet I've got other critters out there that would enjoy that too. Yeah. But that would only be if I don't eat them all first.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a good way to have a snack on hand. And when you get the munchies, instead of reaching for the potato chips, maybe you reach for the apple chips.
Very, very good. And we don't have to peel these first.
You can, but I think it gives it, especially if you're using it as decoration, adds more color to it. And you know, the skin is good for you as long as you've washed your apple really well and be able to use it that way. Yeah.
One of my favorites.
You can peel it if you want, but I prefer to have it with the peeling on.
I think that'd be prettier. Now, I happen to really like apples with cinnamon. Could I sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on there?
As you're baking them right before you get started, you could definitely sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on there, and yeah.
That sounds really good. Okay, well, thank you, Rev Chef Paul, for being with us today. It's even hard to say. I'm going to have to practice that a little bit as we go along. Yeah. Hang on, and let's see what else we can come up with. Okay, guys, that's our first of our projects that we can do with apples, something that you can do year-round, but really does make a wonderful seasonal thing to do as well. As always, go be awesome today. Bye for now.